in as much as you are desperate, do not lie on your CV. This is not the movies, guys.
Yes.
If you don't have somebody who can speak for you in boardrooms, you're just another number. I don't like publicizing it. Most people just hate it. They'll just start a debate and just say, Luna, and your salary thing. Right? You are amazing. He's blowing my mind.
Thank you.
And now, who am I to tell lawyers about the law?
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, we back yet again with another installment of WARMKOP. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Miss Dudu Langa, and she is current regional people business partner at Bolt with over 10 years of experience dealing in HR and all the various dynamics. And today we want to take a deep dive into her world and understand all the various questions you might have from your end. But hey, before that, ma'am, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for that introduction.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. My first question is like...
The pressure. I mean, hello. Questions. You don't waste time. Can I have dinner first?
You're getting at the heart of it. You're getting right there. So I wanted to ask, like, why do people always fall for scams? So you see a post and then like you go and apply. What causes people to fall for those scams?
You mean employment-wise?
Yes, employment scams.
So, look, I think taking into account the context of South Africa, the country, there's, I mean, staggering figures with unemployment. People are desperate. People want to make a living, and you don't think rationally. Our scammers are very sophisticated. It's no different from phishing as well. So you just have to be mindful of that context. I think once we hopefully sort out the issue of unemployment in the country, we can have less desperate people. But I think we need to look at it from that context, not judge them. People are not stupid falling for it. But there's certainly ways of, making sure that things are legitimate, right? Also taking into account that we are living in South Africa, right? So you have a responsibility as a South African citizen to make sure that you are safe and you're protected. But overall, that is precisely what it is. People are desperate, there are no jobs, you need to make a living, you need to eat, and it's young people, also old people, but young people, so we need to be mindful of that.
And I think let's speak on the desperation, because desperation brings vulnerability. And you alluded to protection. So how can they protect themselves when they are in that state of like frantic, pursuit to find something for themselves?
Look, you just need to do your research. I mean, when I was a graduate, literally after just leaving university, I also found myself unemployed. Wasn't something that I planned. The country at the time was going through a recession. You don't plan these things. You go to school, you go to university, then you expect, okay, I'll get a job. And you just have to do research, research the companies, research the HR personnel, research the graduate recruiters, research the role. Those are the basic mechanisms that can actually help you to ensure that the role is legitimate. Even on LinkedIn, believe it or not, people can actually, get caught. You have recruiters contacting you saying, listen, I'm headhunting. And of course, that happens, right? We get headhunted. But sometimes it's not real. People will just want you to send your CV and it has your personal information. Oftentimes they'll ask you to make a payment. You do not pay for a job, guys. You don't pay for a job, right? So it's very important to research the company, go into their job portal. I'm trying to be okay.
No, you got it.
Background cameraman.
You were so eloquent. You were natural.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very, very eloquent. Yeah. Yeah, there's the camera.
I look at this one.
There's your fourth wall, yes.
Okay, I don't look at this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your people are there and I'm here as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But please carry on. Like, it's very insightful. Please carry on.
I don't know where I left off.
It's fine. Today we are around some very beautiful paintings done in this amazing space. This is the
BKhz gallery.
I just want to give you guys a big shout out, a big thank you for letting us utilize your space, having our guests here. We had a great time, had a great interview. And I think part of the reason is because of this beautiful aesthetic around us. So to the
BKhz
gallery, big shout out to you. And thank you. I love that you said the context of desperation and our country being what it is.
Yeah.
Desperation also brings like other factors to people who are applying to get jobs. And oftentimes people lie on their CVs. People lie on their CVs. And I want you to speak more on that. And also tell me about like the psychological effect it has on the person lying about the experience or whatever it is that's on their CV.
You guys, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've had so many cases. Actually, last year, I had a case with a young guy. He's a professional. Has been working for some time. He applied to our organization, and the particular role in question was a specialized one. Everybody wants a job, right? Everybody wants to go to the next level. He literally took somebody else's CV. It was a copy and paste. Right? Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Verbatim. And because this is a specialized role, it also requires professional registration.
Yes.
When we take your CV as an employer, depending which sector you're in, we use your credentials to bid for work. You understand? So we noticed red flags. Actually, the manager came to me and said, something's not quite right with this guy. He oversold himself. He misrepresented himself in the interview on what he could do. He really couldn't do it, right? So when you join a new job, it's normal to get on-the-job training, right? The basics. Because you should have that foundation and that skill set and that knowledge. When he joined, he didn't know anything. So we had to reteach him, even the basics. And for somebody at his level, that professional skill set, that was not there. That was the first
red flag.
Red flag. And what was scary is that the manager actually was very, very smart. He took the professional registration license, approached the institution.
I was going to ask you about that actually, the systems and processes you use to vet someone. Yes, please, sorry, as you were.
So typically what we do is an MIE, right? That is a verification check, but it doesn't check professional registration. So what we then need to do is actually approach the institution and say, okay, fine, we received this employee with this registration number. Was this person actually, a scholar, right? Did he get the professional registration at the institution? They then confirm, they do their research. In his case, after the research, it was confirmed that he was never, ever, not even registered. So it was a blatant lie, misrepresentation. I mean, that's gross negligence right there.
Definitely,
right?
Yes.
Obviously, there are dire consequences because we had to, have a disciplinary inquiry. The employee did resign. And unfortunately for him, we as an employer have the responsibility of reporting it formally. Which means wherever he goes now, he's now blacklisted, right? Because we have an obligation to say this happened. So in as much as you are desperate, do not lie on your CV. This is not the movies, guys. This happens so often. This happens so often. It's not the movies, it's not cool. Just be honest with what you know so that when you also come into the job, we know how to train you. You manage expectation. When you don't do that, there's dire consequences. And what will happen is that you won't get another job. I mean, you've seen politicians, right? You've seen doctors who don't even have these credentials. It's very serious, very, very serious. I understand you want to get the job. I understand particularly with the younger generation now, it's all about getting that next level, the top level, the shiny title, the salary. But if you do it dishonestly, you will get caught. Many of the people that I've dealt with, staff members, have damaged their careers before they've even started. So refrain from it. It happens. I've dealt with it. Don't do it.
And what do you think is the psychological effect, like in the long run, having maybe been someone in that situation? What do you think normally happens to these people, like when they walk away, like with that over their head?
Well, it's shame, right? I mean, if you get caught, when you do something and it's concealed, you think you can get away with it, right? Probably the individual did it again. I don't know. But now all that work, because remember you went to school, I went to university, you know what I mean? You committed, right? So many hours spent studying, making sure you pass the test, right? And then you get the degree. And then you choose to just fabricate. And then you get caught. What is that going to do? Professionally, you lose your credibility. Right? You lose your credibility. Everything you've worked hard for. That's your livelihood. So in that particular space that you're going to be practicing, I mean, you may not even be welcome ever again. So psychologically, I can only imagine what the individual will feel, right?
Yeah.
Depression. I don't know what else.
I get a sense of like imposter syndrome as well, where you feel like you don't belong somewhere or you don't deserve to be somewhere. Even if you've maybe cleared your name, wherever else you might wind up, you might have that imposter syndrome.
You always have the imposter syndrome. And when you start a new job, I mean, gosh, I've worked for so many years. I've started new jobs all the time.
Yeah.
You always have imposter syndrome.
Yes.
But you need to remember your skill set, your knowledge,
Yes.
right? If you are transparent and say, this is what I know, this is what I'm coming with, I am willing to learn. Recruiters, managers, they see that and they appoint you on that basis, right? Everybody has imposter syndrome. Don't rush the process. And I understand you want to get employed, right?
Yeah.
Others, not necessarily because of getting employed. It's about that shiny title and that next, and you want to rush the process.
The gravitas.
Don't do that. Don't rush the process.
Yeah.
Everybody has a journey.
Yes.
Relax. Take it easy. Learn, master your craft, and do it ethically. You will get caught, right? It may not be 2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Yeah.
You will get caught.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, as you heard, guys, adopt and grow into a learner mindset. And having said that, how can people then learn to craft a proper CV, even though there is no learning experience, no actual working experience, rather?
You're reminding me of back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember I told you at the beginning that when I graduated, I myself struggled with my
Yes,
employment, right?
Yeah.
You knock on doors, you're asked, you need experience. You're like, okay, how do I get that experience? I need a job, right? And what I learned on set, and that actually helped me get the jobs that I got or my first big break, the little things that you do, right? So if you have no experience, that's completely fine. Volunteer, right? Kagiso knows. Volunteer. Go to NGOs, NPOs, whatever it is, you are learning a skill, right? In my case, I volunteered. I wasn't working at the time, but I was a mentor, right? And I would teach kids what I excelled in, right? What I understood. And that in itself is a skill that goes in my CV. That shows what did you do in that time. They want to see productivity. There was a time I didn't even have money for taxi fare. Yep, believe it or not, I did not have money, right?
Yeah.
I'm a girl from Deep Kloof, Soweto. I volunteered once upon a time at Baragwanath Hospital. So my background is psychology, studied psychology.
Okay.
And a friend of mine told me about this rape crisis center, right? Which in itself as well was shocking, but that's a story for another day. But nevertheless, told me that they were in need of, fresh graduates just to help with psychosocial support, not active counseling, but just screening. I said, no, definitely, for sure. At the time, like I said, I wasn't working and I didn't even have taxi fare because that was a Monday to Friday. There were times when I would walk. My house wasn't too far from Para. It's good exercise. I would walk with some of my friends and would get there and would volunteer. That is a skill. When you get there, what do? You answer phones. You engage with patients and clients, etc., etc. That is a skill on engagement.
Yeah.
You put that on your CV, right? I'm trying to think what else. I think I'm a very big advocate. If you have no experience, definitely on volunteering. I mean, once you become more experienced, even working at local coffee shops, right? You're engaging with stakeholders. Okay, don't minimize that experience. Don't do it. Engaging with stakeholders, you're making sure that your customers or your clients are happy. That is a skill that is required in the workplace because you will also have clients, right? You put that in there. And when you have the interview, the recruiter, the line manager, the HR personnel, we know this. We live in South Africa. We've walked that journey.
Yeah.
You put the skill set together and you say, this person didn't just sit and just give up. Even selling braid. Selling. You know what I mean?
It's a skill.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
You will go to clients selling a product.
Yes.
That is a skill.
And there's so many dynamics. There's people
You know what I mean?
engagement, being able to have a sales proposition and making a sale.
100%.
There's so many things that are in that dynamic. Yes, ma'am.
And people don't connect the dots like that. So don't minimize what you're doing. Even if you're selling amakipki, it is okay.
Yes.
You are selling. My cousin was in the same situation. He just finished, he matriculated, and obviously comes from a different background at home, and he couldn't find a job. And he'd wake up in the morning and go to taxi ranks and sell amahutwane, chicken feet, right?
Runaways.
Yes. And when I asked him, he had this shame. He had this shame. He couldn't tell me and look me in the eye. And I'm like, you can't have shame. You are entrepreneurial.
Yes.
You know, you've got an entrepreneurial mindset. You're doing something. You're waking up. You're doing something. If anything, you should be proud of yourself. So guys, I think maybe just to leave this question, don't minimize the little that you do. We all start somewhere.
Yes.
It is a skill. Put that in your CV and it builds up until a door opens and you can get proper experience with training. I hope that answers it.
Definitely.
Does it?
Definitely.
Okay, cool.
Expansively at that.
Okay, cool.
You mentioned in our conversation, well, in the beginning, like young people and just people in general, when they go towards a certain like job position, oftentimes it's about the status or the gravitas or the stature, like, yes, I am this, right? And with that comes social media. I want to ask you, how should people approach social media? And what do you feel like is terrible social media usage that could lead to often dismissal for most people?
Yeah.
What do you think about social media in the workspace?
Oh, guys, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've all heard that after an interview, you know, recruiters or HR personnel will go and, you know, suss out your social media, right? We want to see what you post, what type of employee we're going to get. Social media doesn't lie. How you represent yourself. Rather be smart and bloody just keep it on private. Because we look at these things.
Yeah.
If you are drinking over the weekend and you are just a hot mess, you're going to be judged for that. Unfortunately, you are in essence going to be an ambassador of the company. And bringing somebody who can't handle their liquor, nor displays any type of maturity, that's going to count in your, not even in your favor. What? Disadvantage,
yeah.
You'll be disadvantaged. So, guys, rather put it on private. In your social media, be very careful, right? Content lives forever. You could be president one day, or running for president one day, or any other director position. Those things will crop up. Remember, it's competition out there. Everybody wants to be the best. Everybody wants that role. They will pick that up and they will use it to your disadvantage. So be responsible in your social media. I know, especially for the young ones, not necessarily that I'm making myself old now, but particularly for a different generation.
Yes.
I mean, they're reckless. Some of the things that I've seen out there, reckless. And believe it or not, we look at these things, right? Let's say,
no worries.
Let's say you are successful, you are now in our employ, and you don't get along with your manager. You decide to go on Twitter, right? And write, XX company's manager did this, right? You're mentioning the company's name now. I'm telling you something that actually happened on the ground. I had an employee a few years ago who actually did that. Blasted the company's name on Twitter, Instagram. We found out about it and basically painting the company in a bad light, right? That is brand damage. Guess what happened to the employee?
What happened?
We had to have a hearing for the employee.
Yes.
Because things that were said were untrue, they were unfounded, and again, reputational damage. Twitter, you know, particularly if you're working for a specific organization with a specific brand, Twitter will take that and they will make a trend, right?
Hashtag.
Hashtag, exactly. So be very, very careful how you use social media. I think it's a tool to communicate with your friends. That's why it was created.
Yeah.
I'm not an avid lover of social media because I'm very private. I take my brand very seriously and the people that I engage with should take their brands very seriously as well, because it's my livelihood, right?
Yes.
So whatever it is that I post, I think about, if somebody else sees it, what message am I trying to,
Convey.
To convey.
And it's a conscious one as well. So you actually are taking time to write it, think about it, and post it. So in that time, there's so much mental
100%.
work happening there. Yes.
Think of yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
Think of your own aspirations. Things may not be good now, but think about in 10 years' time, where do I see myself?
Yeah.
Do I want what is out there to be a reflection on me? Am I that person? And if you don't know, bloody hell, just keep it on private, guys. Because we look at all these look at all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that you navigate in silence. I think it's very important to always keep it on the down.
For sure.
Down low. But I want to ask, man. So you mentioned that when people are maybe not working and are in between jobs, volunteering is important.
It's important.
But maybe there's some who, maybe when they're hearing this now, haven't volunteered and a large period of time has elapsed. Would you say when a certain time elapses and someone isn't working, they somehow become stale or undesirable to companies? Is there anything like that, would you say?
No, there is.
Yeah.
Guys, there is.
Just tell me more.
No, there is. I mean, if you come for an interview and there's a massive gap and I ask you, okay, fine, can you explain what you were doing in this gap? And you can't give me an answer. I mean, or you say, I was just chilling with my friends. I was unemployed. No, remember, you are trying to work for an organization, right?
Yes.
It's a business.
Yes.
The people that we employ should have a solutionist mindset. You may not have a job. What can you do, though? What are you trying to get yourself out of it? That's what I'm saying. If you are selling, I'm a scopas, guys. I'm a runaways. You know what I mean? If you are showing something, that counts in your favor.
Yeah.
If I sit with a candidate, because remember, we have so many people in South Africa, guys. Right?
Yes.
And not necessarily just South Africa. You're also competing with foreign nationals.
True.
Right?
Yes.
For one job.
Yes.
For one job. If you want to stand out, be a proactive, resourceful individual. Make sure that you do your part. Right? Say, listen, I couldn't get a job, but this is what I did. You know what I mean? And volunteering is not difficult. It's really not difficult. You can go to a school and say, how can I help? Let me tutor, right? You can go, where else? You can go wherever, man. There's so many things that you can do.
To keep busy.
There's so many things that you can do to keep busy.
Yes.
You can be a private tutor,
Yes.
Tutor matriculants. If that's not your thing, go to a hospital, see what they can do. Go and sell yourself.
Be of service.
Be of service. That's what we want, because when you are in our employ, whichever company you're at, we want employees who are of service to others, right? Because that's how you're going to approach your work. It's not about you. It's about the bigger organization. You understand?
I get you.
So, yeah.
I hope you get that, guys. You don't have to be working or being in a big company. Sometimes just giving time, getting out there, doing your best for your community, your immediate space, your people. It means a lot, and it makes these companies hey, this is a special one. Yeah. You're dropping so many jewels on us today.
Yeah, because again, guys, you are competing with other people who are doing that, or even other things, right? From different backgrounds. So something in you has to stand out, and somebody will see it and say, I am going to give you a chance. You know?
I get you.
Yeah.
I see so much empathy and compassion in how you speak. I feel like you can observe people and kind of maximize and bring out their true selves. Having said that, how do you navigate salary discussions with people? And number two, why does the private sector keep salary discussions on the down low? Why can't me as Tepo tell you as to Manish? Why is it that way? Why do companies do that?
That is a popular question, and all you guys are smiling.
We want to know. The people want to know. We'd love to know. Why?
No, guys, it's not a secret. People come from different backgrounds, different skill sets, expertise, different companies, right? And you may be working for one company, right, on a salary band X, and now you want to move and join my company, right? And my salary bands are a certain way. So your experience will count based on, what you have to offer. And typically when you leave an organization to a new company, It's about 10% or 12% increase. So internally, if I have somebody who's been working with us for like 10 years, you can't compare yourself to somebody who actually came out, because there were a lot of things. There's different skills. That's what we look at.
Yeah.
We're not trying to say, Kagiso is my favorite person. Absolutely not. Tepo is my favorite person. It must be secretive. No. People are different. They come with different expertise. There's different negotiation as well that happens. So when you come in, there will be that parity. But what happens internally is that we have to address that parity. If it's too vast, and I think in most companies, I'm not sure your own, but in most companies, there will be a cycle. Not the annual REM cycle, but there will be a cycle where we say, okay, fine. So-and-so are at the same level.
Please explain that word for our viewers. No. Annual REM. What is annual REM?
So, when you're in an organization, right? We have to measure your performance. Okay. Right? Yeah. So the annual remuneration is...
Or remuneration.
Yes. Yes. So it's when we measure your performance, you get a specific rating, and then your lovely bonuses and increases happen, right? So it's not that typical cycle. Yeah. I'm just saying with these big discrepancies in terms of pay parity, another exercise, a benchmark exercise will be done.
And that word, pay parity, please explain to our viewers what that means, pay parity.
So it's when Kagiso earns a high salary.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Let's say million.
Yeah.
And then Tepo is on like 200,000. It's not making sense.
Yeah, there's a disparity there.
100%.
Sure, yeah.
And we need to make it sense. We need to correct it, right? Because they're at the same level. And before you know it, people will be disgruntled. So, which is why it's important. Don't compare yourself to Kagiso, right? You don't know how Kagiso negotiated. You don't know the salary he was on before joining this company. So companies are not out to get you. We are not out to get you. So we always advise, don't go and tell so-and-so what I'm earning. Like, why do you want to tell people your salary, though? Like, why?
It happens.
But why? That is private and confidential information. That you should...
It's your livelihood.
Precisely, because then you will go to your manager and say, you're not paying me enough. Whereas you've been in the company for however many years. The other person was in another company, they joined, and there are others who, they job hop, right? And unfortunately, it's the reality. If you're going to stay in an organization, and it's not that it's a bad thing, right? There are others who can stay for 10, 15 years, 20 years without moving. Yeah. That's fine. And then there are those who will move ideally it should be after like 3 years, 5 years, you know what I mean? Yeah. But there should be some form of movement, because then you will see a difference in your REM, right? Whereas if you stay, it's not going to happen at that pace. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah.
And I feel companies have a perspective that if they are teaching you as well to be in that position more, your salary will then not go as high as opposed to when you come with the expertise already. Is that a thing or not?
Well, just wrong. Repeat your question.
So say I'm Tepo. I go into an organization, there's a position, they're like, hey, man, we want you to be an accounts manager. But me coming there, I wasn't really an accounts manager, but they see potential for me being an accounts manager. So for someone coming with the experience as an account manager, their salary will not reflect what mine is, because the company is teaching you. And so in so doing, maybe them kind of rewarding you financially might not be the same as someone who came with the experience. I don't know if I'm wrong. Please correct me.
No, the expertise is different.
Okay.
The expertise is different. And for somebody like you, you'll be at a different level, right? Okay. Versus somebody who is very experienced, they'll be at a different level. So, of course, the salaries will change.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Or they will be different.
Yeah.
Salaries will be different.
Ma'am, I need to ask, as a psychologist.
I studied psychology.
Yes.
I'm not a psychologist.
Not a psychologist,
right?
Sorry. Yeah.
We just talk about misrepresentation.
Okay. No. Studied psychology, not an actual psychologist.
Well, you can watch for HR.
But I think more from the field of psychology. I think let me reframe my question.
Yeah.
Coming from someone who understands the mind, let me say that. You study the mind.
Yeah.
How important is psychological wellness, or rather mental wellness, in the workspace?
Can I?
Yeah, go for it. Please.
Psychological wellness is very important, guys.
Yeah.
It really, really is. professionally,
No worries.
personally,
Yeah.
professionally, personally.
Rather, can I ground that question?
Yeah.
Apologies. Can I ground that question in HR?
Mm-hmm.
How important is considering mental wellness in the workspace in HR? Can I ground it that way and not make it too broad?
Yeah, no. It's very important. It's very important because remember when we appoint Kagiso Otebo, we appoint you to do a job, right? We can't ignore psychological wellness, right? Or psychological safety in an organization. It'll affect you. If it affects you, what does it do? What are the consequences? It affects
You're
your
not
work,
going to perform.
right?
Yeah.
And we want you to be your best self because you are valuable. You're an asset, right? And I'm so glad that psychological conversations, whether it's safety in an organization, wellness, that now we're taking them more seriously. Because again, the context of the country, but the context of the world, people are just going through a lot. You have things happening in your private space, you have things happening at work, right? People break down. If you don't take care of that, it will affect your productivity, which affects the P&L, profit and loss, right? And that's why we're there, right? To run a business. So we need to take care of that. That's why it's extremely, extremely important. But also you want to work for an organization that cares about people, right? Not just a number, that actually cares about people. And you look at other things to make it more pleasant to be at work with your colleagues, you know? I hope that answers the question.
It does.
I feel like I'm not...
And people always speak about like a work-life balance where like work is there, life is here. And I feel that a blend of both is important for a healthy life.
Yeah. No, it's important. No, it is. Work-life balance is very important. And it's so funny with the Gen Zs. Oh, they really want that, right? Yeah. And the word work-life balance has changed over the years. I mean, 2 years ago, it was work-life unbounded. You know, now I'm sure it's a different word.
Work-life unbounded?
It's still work-life balance, but like it's just different definitions in terms of how we should live as people, right? Okay. It's very important that we do maintain that because people burn out, right? You still need to stop and smell the roses. You need to go and you need to travel and be with your family. Finding that balance and finding that rhythm is a challenge, especially in corporate that is very fast-paced, but it's something that you should definitely prioritize. Yeah.
I get you. I think in both spheres, the one thing that keeps, I think, the balance is motivation and impetus to make it work. How important is motivation and how do you foster motivation in the workspace?
Ooh. Motivation is important, guys. Yeah. If you lack motivation now and as you're interviewing me, I mean, do you think I'm going to just like feed off your energy and just bring it? No. You're
going to bounce off the same energy.
Like you're going to kill my vibe, dude, right? Yeah. And in the context of work, if you don't have motivation, it's going to translate to how you perform the work, right? Yeah. The service that we deliver to our clients, right? Yeah. Meaning the revenue that comes into the business, affecting how we grow as an organization, right? So motivation is very important. You should not rely on the organization to keep you motivated. It is your responsibility as well, right? Why are you there? I gave somebody feedback just recently and I said, we're talking about performance over not just the individual, just a particular team. But nevertheless, the morale and the motivation at this point is it's non-existent because of a lot of things. You know, organizations go through changes, whether it's massive restructures and now you're worried about, will I have a job? Do you understand? Companies change a lot of things happen. It's rapid. Quick change. Sometimes not positive. And you lose motivation. But the minute it affects your performance, then it becomes a problem. And the conversation that I had with this particular individual was, you need to remember why you're doing what you're doing. What's your passion? You know, one of the values that I like actually, where I currently work, and it's actually a value, it's a principle, have fun. In all the other organizations I've worked, it's always been work, right? This particular one has it, right? To say, think like an owner, but have fun. And over the years, even with myself, I lost that fun right? Meaning that I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I was just going, through the motions.
Go through the emotions, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had to remind the person, and I hope the person listens to me. You need to remember why you're doing what you're doing. Let that passion come back. You want to dominate in your field. You don't want to just be ordinary. Well, maybe there are others who really do want to be ordinary.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a high performance organization and you want to grow, right, in line with your strategy of the company,
Yes.
you want to dominate. You want to be great. Enjoy it. You know what I mean? That brings motivation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The company can't always say, come to the functions, the socials. Come on, guys. Here's free fruit. Thirsty Fridays. We can only do so much, but it lies with you. And I think it's about you remembering why you're doing what you're doing, what you want to achieve, what your career aspirations are. If you remember that, I think that will help bring that motivation.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And guys, I hope you listen to that. These are jewels to keep you going. I think it's funny how so the reason why I keep looking at my laptop while you're talking is I find it strange how you actually segue into the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of what you're saying kind of segues to my next question. It's weird, serendipity actually.
Really?
And you mentioned company Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
Company team buildings. And there tends to be dynamics there. Of course, there's diversity and everything, but there are some things. But how do you really foster diversity intuitively and more cohesively in the work environment? Because we all are from varied backgrounds. We're all from diverse experiences. How do you really foster that in this multifaceted country we live in, in the work environment? How do you do that?
Oh, that's a very deep question. Now I need to think.
Okay, no. Cool.
How do you foster diversity? Yeah. Where are you going with this question?
People are varied. People are different. How do you make sure that just because I look different to you or come from a different background with you, I can still be a teammate? I can still identify with you as my co-worker.
So we all come from different backgrounds, right? And I think you know this when you are in school, when you're in university, most in university because you've got people from different countries, etc., right? But even in the workplace, so how we grow as an organization is through different skill sets. People from different backgrounds come with different skills, right? That you can leverage off. No? It's like a fruit salad, and actually, like saying this in one of my onboarding sessions, right? You have a banana. A banana is just a banana, guys. An orange is just an orange. An apple is just an orange. But if you make it a fruit salad, it complements one another, and it's just divine.
And it creates a different taste altogether.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can still taste the banana and orange, but that blend.
Right? Yeah. That helps you in an organization, particularly if you want to grow your organization, right? You think differently, you challenge differently, you become humble because what is right to you may not be right in another country. Do you understand? So it also makes you start thinking, be futuristic, forward thinking. It challenges you. So diversity in a workplace is very important. Number one, even in our country, we want to work together, right? Because we are one. We have the same challenges. We have the same struggles. We are all, we can all be victims of crime, unemployment, and. But the point is that because now we're talking about an organization, diversity is important because it helps you leverage different skills, right? If, let's say, your business is not doing well here in South Africa, you can do well in a different country, right? That is through localization, right? And that's actually with my current organization now. Not just that, even my previous one. We weren't doing well in South Africa because of the socioeconomic challenges that we were having. But in Greater Africa, we were thriving and our business continued, and we didn't have to retrench people because business continued. If you do not embrace diversity, how are you going to be welcomed in another country?
In the international context.
Precisely.
Sphere.
Exactly.
Can I speak on that word quickly? So the word she used was globalization, not globalization. So globalization is thinking globally with a local context. If I'm not mistaken.
You are amazing. You sprayed my mind.
Thank you. But yes, you were still saying yes.
No, but I was just saying that it's very important, right? Because if you want to grow your business, you want to grow it outside of South Africa. That's how you become global. And for me, I'm not going to lie. So a few years ago when I was starting out in HR, my first corporate organization. That was my first culture shock because I didn't know what culture was, right? I was still very, very green. And it was a global company. So my colleagues were like across the world, right? So one in particular was in Romania. And it's so funny that this year, as after my new organization, she and I connected. She actually recruited me, somebody from Romania that I met years ago. Right? Very different cultures, different backgrounds. But because we built a friendship and a relationship, we didn't have to speak all the time, but it was always there. When an opportunity did present itself, they remembered, oh, there's a Dudu. Let me just give her a call. You know what I mean? So that is important, right? If you want to find employment, but also if you want to grow a business, diversity is extremely, extremely important. You know what I mean?
I get you. You did it again.
What?
You segued into my next question again.
Did I?
Yes.
Like what?
When you spoke about future, that being able to diversify is actually future-proofing yourself for where the world is going in business.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
taking the future, right? Yeah. Another thing that has become an advent, I think, since COVID hit was hybrid. Work from home.
Yes.
So hybrid, remote work. Do you think it's evolved the work environment? And I think maybe we can speak for HR as well. How's that also evolved your realm? And the implications like in the long run for hybrid. What do you think about it?
I am pro hybrid, guys. You
Yeah.
can quote me on that. Man, this HR person loves hybrid.
Yes.
I love my flexibility.
Yes.
Right? I think the older I get, I have an appreciation for my flexibility.
Yeah.
A few years' time, I want to be a mother. I want the flexibility of when I glide my hours, right? Maybe I want to start at a certain time and knock off late and make it home so I can cook supper and right? But flexibility is important for a lot of people, right? And COVID obviously forced us to be. I remember my former CEO. I'll just mention his name, Mr. Teddy Daka. Shout out. He challenged me because he made me remember that. Listen, Dudu, this is a company, and we want to grow. We want to see bums on seats, literally, because it's from a different generation, right? He's a businessman, shrewd, being successful, and he's trying to make other organizations that I've left, grow and be, global, right? But the thing with flexibility with employees, in as much as we have a want for it, there is irresponsible people, right? That take that for granted, right? One thing that I was told was flexibility is not a right. It's not. It is a privilege and it is a benefit, right? For those who have flexibility, much is required of them.
Yes.
Meaning that you need to govern yourself.
Yes.
I need to trust you, right? Are you at home working at a coffee shop or home or wherever?
Wherever it is.
But are you delivering? Are you actually doing the work that you're supposed to be doing? The thing with flexibility is that if you're not seen, because you still have the traditional people, right? From a different generation, what do we call baby boomers?
Yeah,
the
generation, yeah.
Exactly, who believe in bums on seats. They want to see you do the work.
Yes.
You need to come in at 8, you need to leave at 5.
Conventional, yes.
And unfortunately with this new generation here, you guys require more flexibility than ever, right? But if we don't see you and it affects the company revenue, productivity, profitability, then that's a problem, right? We need to say, okay, fine, are the managers, particularly if you've got young graduates, right? Who is there to actually mentor them and provide the on-the-job training? Because they also need to develop, right? They don't have experience.
Yes.
You need to factor
and
that
oftentimes
in.
it needs to be in the office space.
It needs to be in the office space. It needs to be one-on-one because you can only do so many things online. But I need to show you, feel this, what is this, the couch, whatever, this table,
bench.
Feel it, right?
Yes.
Feel it. You can't feel it online, can you? Sometimes you need to be in the office to see things, live.
Practically.
That's how you learn, exactly, practically. So again, with flexibility, remember, it is not a right. it is a benefit and it is a privilege. I think it is definitely required because everybody has very busy lives. You know, we're not just an employee, right? We want to juggle a lot of things. But I think one needs to use it responsibly, also remembering that this is the business that we are running. I mean, I had a case where I had to call an employee for a meeting and it had to be face to face. The person said, I can't come. I said, hey, can't you come? And the individual said, well, I'm in Spain. Oh, you in Spain? Who signed that off? During COVID, we had an employee that took it upon themselves to completely relocate. So the job is in Johannesburg and they chose to move to, I think, George or something, right? During COVID.
Yeah.
When the restrictions eased, I mean, you are employed in the Joburg office. Your clients are in Joburg.
Yeah.
You are based on site. He had a problem because he uprooted and now he's in George. How is that our problem?
Yeah. How's it sustainable for the business?
It's not. And we're not going to engage in lengthy dialogue. We just refer back to employment contract. Your clients are here. You're unable to be here. Therefore, we need to go our separate ways. Following a process, of course. And the employee was terminated. He took it to the CCMA. The commissioner looked at the file, tossed it out. You understand? So flexibility, there's great responsibility.
Great power, great responsibility.
Yeah. What does that say in the Bible? To whom much is given. So to whom flexibility is given, much responsibility is required.
I think even Kanye says that.
Oh, does he say that?
To whom much is given, much is tested. I think it was a line on graduation.
Oh, is it?
I feel from the time we started the interview leading up to now, you've been sharing so many stories, anecdotes, because obviously you deal with people. They are stories, they are connections you make there.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what is a significant story? Like, I'm not saying the others are not, but just one that is highly memorable to you, where you had to navigate a very difficult situation with someone. You've said quite a lot, I know. Maybe I'm expunging too much.
One that stands out.
The one that stands out for you, yes. Or rather, we can maybe frame it this way. Maybe an employee conflict. Maybe let's frame it that way.
Yeah.
What memorable employee conflict do you remember? Don't say names. And how did you navigate that situation? Is there one you can think about?
An employee conflict with myself as an HR practitioner?
Yes, as an HR practitioner.
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's conflict. So I'm the middleman, right? So I look after the business, the interests of the business. That's why we call business partners, because we have to remember we are a business. But also looking at the employees.
I'm sorry, can you backtrack a second?
Yeah.
So business partner is also another way of saying HR.
Yeah, business partner is also HR. Yeah.
Oh.
We partner with the business. I'm HR. That's why I'm a people business partner, right? I think the word HR is not used as much.
Yeah, anachronistic. It's from back then.
Yeah. So what did you think it was?
I mean,
what do you think it was?
For me, it was more like people at the heart of what you do. But just the lights didn't switch on, like, dude, that's
it's because of the title. It's because of the title.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not as conventional as the title HR manager.
Oh,
you
my
understand?
gosh.
Now
yes, I
we
understand.
are business partners because our role is a strategic one.
Yeah.
We also need to know and understand the P&L, how everything links. We need to be aligned to the strategy, number one, because we have to then communicate it to the employees, right? So with regards to your question of
Sorry
conflict,
for sidetracking. Yeah.
I wouldn't say so. My job is generally a very contentious one. I can never make anybody happy, guys. Most people just hate HR. I don't like publicizing it. Most people just hate it. They'll just start a debate and just say, "Luna, your salary, please." Right? So I don't like publicizing it. It's very difficult. It's really, really difficult, right? More so when you also have to make the employee understand that they are in a place of work and there's behaviors that need to be displayed. And then when you also have difficult managers, right? I think the most difficult time was when I was working at a law firm. That was a culture shock for me, right? Because I'm HR, working in a law firm with people who actually develop employment law, you know? And now who am I to tell lawyers about the law? Do you get what I mean? That for me was very challenging. More so on, no, you are a lawyer. You need to adhere to the law for the following reasons. And then there will be comebacks, but I don't understand why. And this is a whole lawyer, right? It's a whole director. So that was very, very challenging. I think in my whole career, that was very challenging. But also it made me, number one, grow up, but also see my value in industry, period, right? That actually, this is who I am as a professional, and you may be the lawyer that puts these policies together, but if you don't adhere to them for the following reasons, these are the consequences. So you also have to be, no, this is how we do things, and assert yourself. And I developed a very thick skin from that, very thick skin. I have difficult conversations. I told you about my previous CEO. He challenged me, right? Because he only sees business and he sees numbers.
The bums on seat.
You understand? And I see, no, it's not just business and numbers. It's also the people. We also need to look at this because this is important, right? And convincing people who are just so numbers oriented and it's all about business, no play, right? And having these conversations and employees not thinking that you do anything. But at the same time, it's like, guys, for change to happen, it's a process, it takes time. So I think dealing with a lot of, what can I say, difficult stakeholders and still maintaining that relationship because I support them. They are my clients. I can't burn any bridges there. I mean, we work together, but making sure that the relationship is still intact while trying to appease everyone. Right? So, that's the conflict that I can, that's the only way I can actually answer that specific question.
That's perfect.
I wouldn't say, I mean, other things that are memorable is probably just difficult cases, bro. Like, I see Kagiso, I see you, but in the workspace, maybe y'all are crazy.
And you have to address that, observe that.
Let me not use the word crazy. I am labeling. No, I apologize.
It's okay.
Let me not use those words.
Feel
but
free.
I'm just saying that, it's people are just so unique and they come and their behavior and they do things that even you say, okay, what
is
just
this?
happened?
Yeah.
How do I approach this? How do we navigate? Do you understand? So we see like a lot of things and a lot of issues just evolve and you're like, I've never dealt with this. But then that's a good case study because it goes into policy. You understand? So, that's how I can answer that question.
Thank you.
I hope it helps.
Yeah, it does. I'm going to go off script a little bit.
Right.
And ask you, how would you approach or can you give us the steps rather to conflict resolution? What is the best way to resolve a conflict?
Between an employee and employer?
Yes.
It's communication. Oftentimes when managers are very frustrated, they'll come into my office, I want to fire this person. This person is not performing, you must fire them, right? Or the employee just wants to lodge a grievance, this person is unreasonable, We need to actually have a conversation. Number one, there is a process, but let us talk. It's no different to any other relationship. You actually need to sit down and you need to talk, right? You need to self-reflect as an employee, your actions, and as a manager, your actions. And let's take responsibility of that, right? Let's respect each other, and then let's have a common ground. So that's how we do it first. You don't just go and report to your manager. You start, number one, engaging first. If that doesn't work, then you come to the HR practitioner, which is myself. Then we sit down. When we sit down, we have to make sure that we have a conversation. I know people will be heated right? But we need to be mindful that we need to respect each other. What you say, do you expect me to take it? So if you are cursing and you screaming, should I take that? No, absolutely not. We need to approach it with respect. What is the issue at hand? If the employee, and I think as the mediator, my role would be to show that, well, playing that devil's advocate rather, right? To say, do you understand where your manager is coming from?
Yeah.
Because of your actions, this is why they're behaving like this. And then do you understand where the employee is coming from? Because of your actions, this is why they're responding like this. So they become more aware. I think that's more important. It's communication. A lot of issues can be resolved if you just communicate effectively with respect, by the way, right? Where people are unreasonable, then we need to deal with it differently, right?
Yes.
That's why we have policies
Yes.
as well. But the first thing is communication. Owning your behavior, doing the right thing, respecting each other, and then we have an action plan.
Yes.
How do we hold each other accountable?
Yes.
If that fails, then it's a different process, right? It means that people don't want to do it, actually. Then it's a different process. But it all starts with communication.
I think there's a lot of discernment with like what is an emotional and a rational reaction in those situations as well, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But in your opinion, like what are the key skills for someone in your workspace? In your profession. What are key skills you need in that realm?
It's not just the traditional, because again, I'll go back to the myth. You know, people will say, what does HR even do? Like, what do they do? Fact. Yeah. I'm sure all of you have been guilty. Yeah. What do they do?
Yeah.
You need to understand people, right? You need to understand the market. You need to understand the business and the strategy. You need to understand the profit and loss statement, right? The P&L, because that affects everything. Whereas before, HR personnel were seen as paper pushers. No, absolutely not. You want benefits, right? You want a provident fund, you want medical aid, you want your increases, you want this, you want that. Who does that? It's HR. We have to go outside, right? And look at the market and bring it internally to our organization.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
We need to sell it to the business and say this makes business sense because it will speak to retention, right? You need to have a solutionist mindset and entrepreneurial mindset. Yeah. That is extremely, extremely important because it helps you think critically and strategically, and that's what you need, right? It helps you in, again, identifying talent. Yeah. We spoke earlier, maybe not in this conversation, about engineers. It's critical. You know, there are others who specialize in just fans. And in just South Africa, you only have maybe 3 or 4, right? But you need to have people who can actually find those unicorns. Yeah. How do you lure them from a different country and bring them into South Africa, into your organization, right? How do you keep the talent that you currently have? You need to just be strategic. That's actually the skills that you need. And it's a build up over time. So I didn't just get them. You know what I mean? It happened when I first started working, volunteering, doing this and that, up until where I am. Yeah. And obviously you meet different managers, different stakeholders who challenge you differently. And that adds on to your experience.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
That is terrible. I can take everything else happening, but that is bad.
Will they hear it though?
They will. Oh. We might maybe need to retake?
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna remember what I said.
Nah, I'm just playing. Okay, sorry about that. And thank you for that. Thank you for that statement. I want to ask you, when I was studying it, a lot of people were studying HR, but never really ended up working in HR. And I hear in you as well, like your background, you studied psychology, and I feel like in your workspace, you need to pay HR and something else, and something more human, or something more, intrinsic to human condition to then kind of help you in that workspace. Yeah. Like, what are some of the skills you need, like, from a study perspective to then joining the workforce? Like, what skills do you need to properly execute your role as an HR?
Yeah. So it's funny. I never dreamed that one day I'd be in HR.
Yeah.
Like that was never my plan. You know, HR just found me. You know, I studied psychology with the intention of becoming a clinical psychologist, which is still a want, and I will definitely pursue that. But after graduating, I found myself, not sure. You know what I mean? Number one, I needed a job because I had just lost my lost parent, my father. So finances were a bit difficult, would be challenging. So I needed to find income, right? And I'm trying to remember that question. Sorry, I just
So
went
what
all
skills?
the way. The
So what skills?
Yeah.
Do you
so
need to? Yeah.
so I studied psychology, and then I always had a want as well of understanding corporates. You know, I always had that bug in me. I wanted to have that corporate climb that ladder. I wanted that, right? I just didn't know how. You know, I thought at the time, oh no, but I must be a lawyer. I must be this. I must be something to be in corporate, right?
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate that my path led me to a corporate, right? When I studied psychology, then I was like, oh, actually, maybe I can actually do HR. You know, I've got a passion for people. I love being in industry. Back in the day, I used to be an entrepreneur. So I have that. I have that thing in me, you know? And I was told, no, you can't be in HR because you studied psychology. You must go in study an HR degree. And I said, absolutely not. Is that happening? I am a people person. I studied, people. I mean, seriously.
Yes.
So when you go into industry and if you want to go into HR,
yes,
they accept you with a psychology degree. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So whether it's general psychology, if let's say you wanted to go into the clinical route, you're accepted. If it's organizational psychology, it's accepted.
Yeah.
Even if it's just HR, right? It's accepted, right? So qualifications get you that. I have for instance, an HR director at an audit firm, one of my HR director who I'm still very close to even now. He was an accountant, a chartered accountant, but his passion was HR and he was our HR director, but he was a chartered accountant, right? We had, even just recently, one of my managing directors, he was an HR partner and he was by profession an engineer, So I think as an entry for people who really want to be in HR, definitely the basic psychology, organizational psychology, HR, fine. But you can decide, you can be a lawyer and decide, I want to be in HR.
Because you know the litigious, legal
execution
in that regard, I guess.
Yeah. So, and it happens. I mean, even now, my current organization now, again, another, chartered accountant who decided to be in operation management. You understand? And they're in the
these are accountants, man.
Yeah, but the point is that don't limit yourself because your passions change. Mine certainly changed.
Yes.
I did not want to go all the way. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough then, right? And my circumstances didn't afford me that at the time. So I landed in HR. So there's just different array of skills. And others start as receptionists. I'm not even lying. They started receptionists. I mean, and I've seen that as well. And they get promoted up until they are the HR manager one day. But obviously, you need to back it up with the qualification because we have to justify for audit purposes, right? So, I think the job world is very dynamic. It's not as traditional as it used to be. Once you are in, you can definitely make a segue, right?
And how important is leadership development in your organization? Because you were literally talking about a beautiful succession plan. I can go from being a receptionist all the way to being an HR manager. How do you develop that in the workspace?
It's important. More so, again, in the context of South Africa with triple BE, right?
Yeah.
And getting specific score counts, right? If you want to be in business and with work, again, the context of South Africa, triple BE is very important. Leadership development is very important because you need people of color in specific positions that are in leadership, and we need to train them and make sure that they can do the job and set them up for success.
Yes.
So that's very important. But you also have I'm going to use Kagiso as an example again. You've got your Kagiso who is identified talent, right? We need to harness that. We want to keep that in the business. So we have to train them and nurture that because they may be a CEO one day, right? You want to go outside. You want to find the talent and take care of it internally.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's extremely important, leadership development, but also in the context of corporate SA, it is extremely important that we train our young leaders to occupy those positions because previously those opportunities were not available to people of color, period. So it is a responsibility. And if that is not done, right, in terms of employment equity, then there are consequences for the organization. Yeah. So it's very important, leadership development, extremely.
Yes, ma'am.
It's how you attract talent to come into your organization because when you come in, you want to grow, right? If people see that I'm not growing, okay, we're not going to talk about this for 2 years. It's a deuces. And you go somewhere else where you will be trained and developed, right? Because you have aspirations and you want to see things move, you know?
Yes.
Gone are the days where you're in a position for 30 years, the same title. Yeah, not going to happen. But again, if there are, it's okay. If there are, it's okay. No disrespect. But I'm just saying for those who are really eager to grow and they actually have aspirations of being the next CEO or managing director, you know, leadership development is extremely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke about your thick skin during our conversation, or rather, being able to develop a thick skin over the course of your career.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that came with onboarding a lot of like feedback and taking a lot of like uncomfortable or comfortable conversations.
Yeah.
I need to ask you, what is the most effective way that you can onboard employee feedback to create a more cohesive and more representative work environment? Like how do you onboard that kind of feedback?
No, feedback
constructively. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't even like using it as constructive feedback. I like to say developmental feedback because feedback is for developing, right?
Yeah.
And if you use that word, because when people just hear feedback and they hear constructive, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hear somebody's like tear me to shreds and I'm supposed to take it, right? Exactly. And I have to take it because what? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you say developmental feedback, you take it in. You take it in that, what's the word? Give me the word.
In stride.
Yeah, you take it in that,
yes.
right?
Just mind your hair again.
Again.
Yeah, on the mic.
Or here.
Right.
Or here.
Right. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
You take it in the spirit in which it's intended. That's what I wanted to say. And feedback is extremely important, right? You have people who can't give feedback, right? And they will just crush your spirit, period. And like, but it's constructive feedback. No, you just crushed me. Crushed me. How am I to perform again? There's a way in which you need to give feedback to people. Again, it's with respect. You need to be clear. It needs to be direct, right? That's how you give feedback. We, especially if you find yourself in any organization or specific corporate, what I find is that a lot of managers don't know how to give feedback. There are others who are amazing at that, right? But employees and managers don't communicate, but also managers do not give feedback, especially on the developmental areas that need to improve. And what happens is, let's just say it's time for increases, and let's just say it's calibration, right?
Sure.
Where you get a rating on your performance throughout
KPIs.
Your KPIs.
Yeah.
If your manager did not give you feedback on your developmental areas, things that need to improve, and they only highlight vision. Exactly, and then they only mention that during the calibration session, right? And then you are surprised by why your rating is what it is. You were expecting, or in your mind, you're thinking you are like a top performer, whereas your manager's like, no, you are freaking no achieved, or it needs improvement. You understand? You understand? You can easily avoid that just by communicating. And that's where I find a lot of people shy away from having really difficult conversations. Whereas if you're transparent and it's ongoing, and as the employee, it's also your responsibility. If your manager, because they're busy, people are busy, sometimes they forget. You need to take it upon yourself.
You take ownership.
Yeah. Go to your manager. How did I perform? Please give me feedback.
Yeah.
Put it in writing. after a piece of work that you've done and you think you did exceptionally on, get that review, save it, get that feedback, save it, because that helps your case.
Yeah.
In instances where there was a lack of communication and a manager, rated an employee with a terrible rating, right? The employee said, absolutely not. And they were able to change that rating because of the evidence at hand, because of the feedback that they gathered from their stakeholders and other managers. And that changed everything.
Yeah.
So feedback is extremely important. It's about how you give feedback, right? You address the problem. It's not a personal attack on you. Keep it respectful.
Yeah.
I mean,
respectable.
Respectable.
Yeah.
Yes. Respectful.
Oh, respectful. Respectful as well.
Keep it respectful.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not about attacking the individual. It's about the performance at hand. Be direct. Be specific on what the areas that need to improve need to be.
Yes.
So the person can understand.
Yeah.
And also help provide a solution. An action plan. How do we then correct it? If it's a development plan, then HR comes in, or the learning development team come in. But certainly, feedback is a skill.
Yes.
That needs to be harnessed, and it's giving feedback correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to thank people like you. Like, without HR in any organization, people would, in Japan, people was jumping out of buildings just from pressure, not being recognized, or just.
Wasn't that during COVID?
I think it's been before that. But I was going to say, just lastly, reflecting on your career.
Yeah.
What key lessons can you share with our audience, and what advice would you give someone trying to come into HR?
Life is life, guys.
Yeah.
Life happens to everyone. You can be a billionaire's daughter and life will still happen to you.
Yeah.
You can come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds and life happens to you.
Yes.
I recently had a student from the Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation, actually,
Yes.
who approached me and said, I'm studying HR, and everybody around me is telling me it is the crappiest job to select because you will not be employed. And I looked at her and I said, they are not lying. For us to combat unemployment in South Africa, we need to, there are roles that are available, right? Critical skill. I mentioned earlier on that we've got damn specialist engineers, right? That are non-existent in South Africa, around the world actually. But if we actually had those engineers who specialize in that, we would have them in this country. That is a guaranteed job. What happens is we study, again, like myself, psychology for a passion for sure, but you need to go all the way, right?
Yes.
And that in itself is a process. You need to have a buffer if things don't go that way, right? So the skill that you need, and what I said to her is that you need to be, number one, you've identified your passion, what you love. That's a good thing. But because now you're still in university, now you need to equip yourself, right?
Sure.
You need to make sure that you leverage off opportunities. What are you doing? Do you have a LinkedIn account, number one? Which organizations have you identified?
Yes.
Do you even know which corporates you want to go to? Or maybe it's small companies, which is completely fine, right?
Yeah.
But depending on your aspirations, start looking at that now. Let's say, yes, I want to work at whichever firm, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's a big thing in South Africa. It's one of corporate SA. Because those brands, believe it or not, they actually matter. They open you up to opportunities even globally, right?
Yeah.
Not to say others don't, but I'm just saying you just need to be strategic and say, what do I want?
Yes.
And then you now need to approach those companies. Who's the HR personnel there? Who are the recruiters there? What roles do they currently have, right?
Yes.
I want to do an internship because that's the entry, right? For you to actually enter that.
Yeah.
Have you started researching about those opportunities? When can you enroll? Ne? Again, what experience do you have? Were you just sitting and just doing nothing? Because that's not going to help you. No. You need to have something in your CV. Because when we ask you questions, we want a dynamic individual, somebody who does something. You know what I mean? So you need to be entrepreneurial. I've just learned that in any industry, whether you're a lawyer, if you have a business, you need to think like an owner. You understand? Don't minimize your position. Think like an owner. You need to make money for the organization, but also it needs to be reciprocal, right? You bring this, I get this, right? But it's all about getting in to begin with. So you have to have that. Number one, the qualification is extremely important because it teaches you certain things that, you can't just get, at the street, right? but it will also open you up to on-the-job training when you enter the work environment.
Yes.
So that's very, very important. And I think I hated maths in school. I despised it because like I'm thinking that I hated maths.
You're a kindred
right?
spirit. Same here. I hated it as well.
With a passion.
Yeah.
In varsity, I did stats, right?
Okay.
It was mandatory,
Yes.
right? I had to, the module was statistics. And I was like, I hate this. I'm not a numbers person, but I see how numbers follow you, right? Because again, like I said, I hated maths, but I need to understand the P&L for the company. You know, you need to present on, head count. You need to put reports together. You need to understand these numbers. Things that I hate with a passion, but you need to understand that. So I think that's more important. And then I think just in general, just communicating, how you communicate effectively, how you build relationships strategically.
Yes.
When you have company events, don't just be...
the wallflower.
Yeah, the wallflower. Kagiso's just sitting over there.
Yeah.
No, go
Be
and...
out, mingle.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because that also speaks to how you are seen. And then you have conversations with these individuals. And then you form a relationship with somebody who's going to become your sponsor. And when we talk about promotions, right? That sponsor comes through for you. And you need sponsorship, by the way, in corporate. You need a sponsor.
Okay.
Just doing
Please
the
tell
work.
us what's a sponsor?
So somebody who can actually, they usually say it's somebody who's in a key position,
Yeah.
leadership position, even your manager, right?
Yeah.
Who can say, I know how you perform.
Yeah.
You can take a chance on this person. This person deserves a promotion. You know what I mean? Somebody will just say, let's consider this person for a promotion.
Yes.
Now, that is a sponsor. If you don't have somebody who can speak for you in boardrooms, these important boardrooms, and I saw it live, right? Then you're just another number. You can't just be another number. You need to be strategic and know the key people in an organization and be friendly. I always say they must know your name. You may be an introvert, that's fine. Extrovert, fine. Let them know your name. You know what I mean? But also you have to have something to show for it.
Yes.
I mean, you need to deliver. It's all about the quality. It's all about being exceptional. Let them know your name.
That is a beautiful parting word. We thank you for your story. You gave us so many jewels, so many sound bites. So guys, remember, like, share, subscribe. Do it now. We'll give you a sec.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then thank you to you. Thank you for all the jewels, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Your expertise, your insight, and just your words.
Yeah.
In essence.
I mean, you hit me with all the questions, man. They kept on coming. You guys are doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Really are. And I think what I like about your podcast, it really is empowering people, right? The youth.
Yeah.
And I think if I had somebody talk like this to me a few years ago when I was starting out, it would have done so much for me. But people just don't have this information. And I think that sets you apart because I think we're very, Instagram and socials and, entertainment, which is good, totally good. But I think this is a good niche because people, specifically young talent currently, they need to hear this.
Yeah.
They need to hear this. They need to hear what happens in corporate. So you guys are doing it so well. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
I was nervous, but you
did fantastic, honestly. I
carried
didn't
me
even
through.
see it.
You carried me through.
Yeah, to your point, and thank you for saying that. Like everything is so instant, social media. We actually showing people there is a process to it.
Yeah.
And embrace the
it's a
process and take it in stride. It's actually a beautiful process.
Yeah. No, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. What is that?
Leave alone.
What is that?
Leave alone, boss.
Like you are a problem, guys. So like you are such a problem.
Nah, but you killed it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for helping me. What do I say here?
You carried me. You killed it. Trust me.
You're so good at what you do. No. You're exceptional. Thank you.
Regional identified talents. HR.
WARMKOP.